What's a behavior you used to think was normal, until someone told you it wasn't? 1. When I was a kid, I thought it was normal that every family had to ask permission to eat dinner. Like, actually ask out loud. My dad would come home from work, sit at the table, and we'd all have to wait until he said, "You may begin." I didn't question it, I thought that's just how respectful families worked. In college, I had dinner with my roommate's family for the first time. Everyone started eating right away, talking, laughing, passing dishes around. I froze with my fork midair, waiting for someone to say, "You may begin." They all just looked at me like I was broken. That night, I realized how controlling my dad actually was, that respect was just fear dressed up as manners. It's wild how something so small can expose an entire family dynamic. 2. I used to think it was normal to apologize for everything, even stuff that wasn't my fault. If someone bumped into me, I'd say sorry. If someone was late, I'd say sorry for rushing them. My boss once told me I apologized so much it made people uncomfortable, like I was taking blame for existing. It wasn't until my therapist asked me, "What are you apologizing for?" that I realized I didn't even know. It was just automatic. Years of trying to keep peace in a house full of shouting made me believe being sorry was safer than being right. Now I try to replace "I'm sorry" with "thank you." Instead of "sorry I'm late," I say, "Thanks for waiting." Instead of "sorry I talk too much," I say, "Thanks for listening." It sounds small, but it's life-changing. I didn't realize how much space constant guilt was taking up in my head until I stopped letting it. 3. Growing up, I thought emotional silence was normal. In my house, nobody ever said, "I love you." Not once. We didn't hug, didn't talk about feelings, and definitely didn't cry in front of each other. The unspoken rule was that emotions made you weak. When I was a teenager, my best friend's mom would hug her before she left the house every morning and say, "I love you, drive safe." I used to roll my eyes at that, it felt corny. When my friend hugged me once after a bad day, I literally froze up. I didn't know what to do with it. It wasn't until I moved out and started dating someone who actually expressed affection that I realized how starved I'd been for it. I'd flinch when my girlfriend touched my shoulder or said something kind. She finally asked, "Why do you act like you're allergic to love?" That hit me harder than I expected. I had spent my entire life believing that love was silent, that people just knew you cared without you ever having to say it. But love without expression isn't love at all. It's a ghost that haunts every moment it should have lived in. Now I make a point to say it, to my friends, my family, even co-workers sometimes. I text my mom "love you" just because. The first time she responded she said, "That's strange to hear, but thank you." That sentence made me cry, because it shouldn't have been strange. 4. For years, I thought walking on eggshells around people was just being polite. My dad had a temper, not physical, but the kind that filled a room like smoke. You'd say something harmless and suddenly he'd explode over tone or wording. We all learned to read him like weather forecasters, checking his mood before speaking, monitoring every word to avoid a storm. I carried that skill into adulthood like it was a survival badge. In relationships, I'd overanalyze every text I sent. At work, I'd rehearse conversations 5 times before approaching my boss. I thought it was maturity, emotional intelligence. Then I dated someone who noticed it right away. One night she said, "You don't talk to me, you manage me." It stopped me cold. I realized I was still living like that scared kid, trying to predict other people's reactions instead of just existing honestly. A few weeks later, we got into a small argument, the kind that would have sent me spiraling before. But instead of shutting down, I said what I felt. My heart was racing, waiting for the explosion that never came. She just listened. When it was over, she said, "That wasn't so bad, was it?" I almost cried from relief. That's when it clicked. I had mistaken fear for peace my whole life. Now I notice it everywhere. Co-workers avoiding eye contact with their boss, friends joking around their parents like they're walking through a minefield. We normalize anxiety as etiquette, when really, it's just control repackaged as politeness. I'm still unlearning it, but at least I know now, peace isn't the absence of conflict, it's the absence of fear. 5. I grew up thinking that cleaning up after everyone else was just what responsible people did. My mom worked full-time, my dad didn't do much around the house, and I was the oldest. So naturally, it fell on me to keep things in order. Dishes, laundry, dinner, even paying bills once I was old enough. It never occurred to me that it wasn't normal. When I went to college and lived with roommates, I became the mom friend. I did the dishes nobody touched, restocked toilet paper, made grocery lists. They'd thank me, but it wasn't gratitude, It was expectation. I remember one night my roommate said, "You know you don't have to take care of us, right?" I laughed and said, "Who else will?" She said, "That's the problem." That conversation sat with me for weeks. I realized I had built my entire sense of worth on being useful. If I wasn't cleaning, helping, or fixing something, I felt anxious, like I was failing some invisible standard. Later in therapy, I learned it's called parentification, when a child takes on the role of a parent because the actual adults don't. It messes with your wiring. You grow up thinking love means service, not choice. It's still hard for me to relax when there's work undone. I still catch myself saying, "I'll handle it," before anyone even asks. But I'm learning that it's okay to exist without earning my place. Last month, I visited home. My mom asked, "Can you clean up after dinner?" I said, "Actually, can you do it tonight? I'm tired." She looked surprised, not angry, just confused. And then she did it. It was such a small thing, but it felt like rewriting my entire childhood in that moment. And that's the video. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed hearing what Reddit had to say. Now tell me in the comments, what's a behavior you used to think was normal, until someone told you it wasn't?